Video blog.
Hey guys, this is Tim from Twice Circled, and welcome to episode 38 of the official Megaquarium video blog. Okay, I have done quite a lot in the last few weeks, and oops, it's finally time to show you what I've been working on. So I've done quite a lot of system revamping over the last few weeks. Skip the tutorial. And I'm finally ready to do some playtesting. So essentially that's what I'm doing with you today. I'm going to do a little bit of playtesting. Things will be unbalanced, things will be broken, but I'll be making some notes as I go ahead and playtest the game, and hopefully it'll be fun for you guys as well to get a little insight into the dev process. And actually I get to show you some gameplay because, you know, when I say playtesting, this is different to kind of testing if a feature works. This is like actually how does the whole game fit together, and you know, how does that progression feel, how does it ramp up, all that good stuff. So let's start. So, you know, we are starting from scratch again because it's actually really important to get that beginning of the game right, and that's actually where I've been spending a lot of time, a lot of my efforts lately in working on this beginning bit of the game. And so, you know, I've redesigned systems, you know, quite a few times. People who've been watching the vlog for a long time will know. But I think, it's starting to feel good, guys. I'm really liking it. So the start will seem quite familiar to you guys. We're going to just start with a tank, maybe two tanks. Maybe we kind of supercharge our beginning. Let's have a couple of, wide tanks like this. And then I'm going to just open that up so it's symmetrical. And we just start with this, you know what, let's go a little slower because I forget that lots of this stuff is new to you guys. I have shown you this new UI design for in fact every single item in the game, not just the animals. And what we have is these little icons, these little stats, which allows us to cram a lot of different information in a very flexible way. Basically, it's an icon and a number and a tooltip, and all these stats do very different things. On a rock here we've got a little bit of filtering power. On an animal we've got some points it's earning, some size. It's got its heat requirement. This is new. Tropical, -3 ecology if tank is insufficiently heated. We got its water quality requirement, and what it eats. This is all just on the basic fish. I mean, it's crazy, but hey, it's because I'm trying to make this game, you know, somewhat resemble real life. You know, this is basically the minimum requirements. You got, you know, size, water quality, heating, and food. This is as basic as an animal can get. 5 different stats. But I guess it's not that different to like a real-time strategy game, which has like, you know, health, attack, defense, that sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah, let's build it. Now this is interesting. Actually, I'll talk about this a little bit later. Slightly different. I've got a slight update to the UI. This was just a feel thing. It just felt messy, and I just had this idea about getting rid of all the little circles and just giving a black outline around stuff. And I just think it looks a lot cleaner. So I really like this. We've also got rid of overcrowding, so you can no longer... Actually, it's gone back to an old way I used to do things, which is once a tank is full, it's full. You can't overcrowd it. This is just to stop you doing ridiculous stuff, like just putting like 50 sharks in a tiny tank and them all clipping on each other. It's just silly. It's also actually quite a nice gameplay thing. I quite like this. The hard requirement. It makes you kind of... It's all about just filling it in a way which all the water quality requirements are met, and everything else is met. It kind of like closes down a couple of your options in a good way, I think. You can get to this point where you go, that tank is done. I'm happy with it. It's full, and it goes green once it's full as well. Now this is the first thing. We're getting a little pop-up straight away saying this tank is not sufficiently heated. Add a heater to avoid damaging its inhabitants. Now I think this needs a black outline, if I'm honest. That would look a little bit better. This is just my own little icon. I made a little thermometer. If you're wondering what that was, that's meant to be a thermometer. So we're going to add a heater. So this is a new piece of technology, and you know what? While we're here, let's talk about some other stuff. So this is the amount of heating. It's another one of our little stats. This is the amount of heating that this item is contributing to the tank, and the rule for heating and chilling is that it has to equal, the stat number has to equal the volume of the tank. So this tank has a volume of 12, so we need to have a number which is equal to or more, and that's it. Whereas the water quality is a little bit different, it's a bit slidey. Like, if you have more water quality than the volume, you'll have a higher water quality. If you have less, you'll have a lower. This one is just flat, right? You need this much heating or your guys are going to get, you know, killed. This other stat is the reliability. So a high reliability stops the equipment breaking down as much, and this interacts with the tool station. So all equipment now has, well, all equipment that has a reliability has the chance of breaking down, and then you'll need to have your staff fix it up. And this tool station operates an awful lot like the bucket used to. And you know, I should have got rid of that bucket a long time ago. It was a bit weird. You know, take a bucket to a filter and suddenly it fixes itself. Anyway, let's do some stuff. So now the heating requirements are met, let's just add a basic filter as well. I've got rid of the 2 types of filter power. I haven't decided whether this is going to stay or not. I'm just trying it. It does definitely streamline the early game, and I like that. And we do still have additional types of filter power that you can add in later, like skimming and possibly ozoning and UV curing. So I'm not sure if it needs the 2 types of filter power right at the beginning. I think 1 is probably enough, especially as most of the time I found that I was having to just keep them the same anyway, for balance reasons. So we're going to add a filter here as well, and this should be enough. Now, just to kind of bump start our beginning, we are going to just have as many of these guys as we can, and we're going to put a load of rocks down. Rocks add a little bit of filter power, you can see it going up, but I'm also putting it in there for the scenery, because the guests like scenery, and you'll see in a moment how the idea of what the guests like is kind of conveyed and how it impacts our game. We're going to make a little storeroom off to the side here. Now, when a player first starts, they probably won't do this, and that's totally fine. There is no reason right at the very beginning of the game to make a little storeroom like this. I'm doing it because I know better, and I'm planning ahead. And that's one of the fun things about games, isn't it? Like, the second time you play, you often know what you're doing a little bit better. Oh, we just need to hire a staff, and here we go. Let's just go for someone cheap, because I'll be honest, it doesn't really make much difference. The staff is one of the systems that is going to go for a whole overhaul yet, but it just wasn't necessary, you know, at the moment. Most of the systems that I've overhauled in the last few weeks were necessary to do together. And so, you know, I'm drawing a line in the sand, and I'm having a bit of a playtest now, and gonna actually try and see how the game feels over not just the beginning, but the middle and the end game as well. But more on that in due course. So I showed you guys already the new way that research works. It has this window that pops up. There is another change that has happened, which is that I've now limited the research that you can unlock to your rank, to your aquarium rank. Now, the aquarium rank has been around for a while, but I've also changed the way that you earn your aquarium rank, and some things around that. So I'll talk about that in a moment, but right now we only have a choice of these 2, and at this rank. So, you know what, we're going to go for the half and half chromos because it's a nice one for the science points, and we'll leave it there. Now, you can see that, okay, you see that this little prestige point has been given off. Now, for a long time, prestige has been its own separate currency, and it is still its own separate currency, but I don't think you're going to have animals which just give you direct prestige. Prestige now operates on a slightly different system in that it's kind of earned as a result of other things that you have going on. And if you click this window, you get your prestige rank window coming up. It tells you our current rank is 1, and we currently have prestige of 2, and we're aiming for 10, and when we hit 10 we rank up, and then you unlock all the stuff that's available at the next rank. And normally that would be shown here, but it just isn't at the moment. Okay, so over here we have this thing called guest thoughts. So this gives you a summary of the contributions to your current rating. So here our current rating is 2, and it's currently +1 because one of the guests really liked the ribbon seagrass and one of them liked the small rocks. They really liked the scenery. They didn't care too much for the actual animals. And that's this guest here, Jack. Excuse me, sorry, got a bit of a cough. Now you can also gain these prestige points when guests encounter your animals. The general way it works is that you'll only get the points for an animal once. So if you just spam the same animal loads and loads and loads throughout your aquarium, what you'll do is you'll eventually get every single guest to like that animal. Great. But it's got a limit of 1 per guest, so your mileage may vary. Certainly having a variety is a good way of getting a high prestige rank, just like in a real aquarium. But there's other things too. The more animals of the same type you have in a tank, that will also increase the chance of them kind of liking that particular animal. So let me give you an example. Hopefully it'll happen on this next tank. We're not on this one. Let's see if Jill... Yeah, there we go. Jill really likes the azure demoiselles. So if you put like 10 of an animal in a tank, there's a very good chance that they'll notice that tank, that animal, because there's so many in there, basically. That's the logic behind that system. But the reason... So, okay, let me just stop for a second, right? In fact, I can let this play on in the background. Now, you guys might be thinking, okay, this sounds an awful lot like the old rank system, right? You had a variety of animals and that gave you points, sure. You had a variety of scenery that gave you points, and if you had lots of animals and lots of scenery, that also gave you points. And I did, yeah, all that stuff was there. But the problem was it followed a fixed formula. So an azure demoiselle was worth just as much as a late game shark. In terms of, it's just 1 extra animal for your totals. Now, the difference here is that actually, the cooler the animal is, basically, the higher chance and the higher amount of points it will give you when a guest encounters it. So we've now got this kind of sliding scale. And the other reason that I've switched to this point system is, well, both were point systems, right? But I always had this prestige point kind of hanging around, and I had these ideas for it, and what I realized is actually what I really wanted that prestige to cover was how much your guests were enjoying your aquarium, how good your aquarium was. And then we also have this rank, and I kind of felt, why have these 2 different points? Let's just put them together. So what I've done is the way you earn your prestige now is kind of borrowed from that rank. But the stuff that you earn when you rank up is kind of a lot of the stuff that I always imagined from prestige. You're not going to be just unlocking, you're ranking up, which is going to increase the amount of income that you get from your aquarium. You get more guests and you get a higher ticket price, but you also unlock new things. And what I'd also like to add, and I'll show you when we rank up, is I'd also like to add kind of perks, little upgrades that you can choose for your aquarium at each rank, which allows you to kind of improve your aquarium in a different way to everybody else. So you can choose, which selection of these little upgrades you take as you rank up your aquarium. And you can choose a different selection every time and try out different strategies. So the way this prestige, for those that are interested, the way this prestige stuff works is it's basically, you'll notice that it goes up and it goes down. Okay, and it's basically, when these guys earn a point, it goes up a point, right? Straight up. It's completely 1 for 1. However, when the guest leaves your aquarium, they actually remove their points from the total. And also, after a day has passed, that point also gets removed from the total. So essentially, what this is the average, well, it's not even the average, it's the amount of points you earn in the last 24 hours, in the last day. And that's a nice system, right? Because it means that to actually increase your prestige, you really have to make your aquarium bigger. Like for example, I really should now look at adding some more tanks. So let's increase our aquarium size. In fact, should we put some tanks over here? Let's do this. I think this is quite a nice pattern. And then what we're going to do... Oh, I actually need to make those, I think, slightly further apart. So what's cool about that is there's a lot of things that you need to be thinking about. Okay, so first up, this is my tick box exercise for the way that this... How much money have we got? For the way I wanted prestige to be. Okay, so first off, you needed to earn more prestige just by having a bigger aquarium and more stuff in it. And that totally works now because it's the average amount you make over the last day. the guests who've just arrived, they will be earning points here, but the guests, if you've got a massive aquarium, the guests who arrived 5 days ago, they're still going to be earning points here. So more stuff equals more points. So you're always going to be rewarded for just adding more stuff, even the same animals you've already had before. That's still totally a valid way of getting more. What we will find is we've got, +3 from the Azure Demoiselles, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, and actually just 4 guys in our aquarium at the moment. So one of those hasn't liked them yet, in quotes, hasn't appreciated them yet. So actually, every time they encounter, they get the chance to appreciate them again. So actually, to reach that full saturation, you could still have kind of 4 or 5 tanks with the same things in, and you could have an awful lot of them. And of course, you can mix them together. You don't have to do it like this. In fact, with these guys need to go in shoals. So I'm not going to mix them together. Right, those are set up. Let me just put some things down, and then let me talk about the next thing. I mean, gosh, there's so much to talk about. I'm definitely going to have to do a few vlogs here, I think. So, these are the half and half chromis. If we have a little look at them, they are a shoaler. So they get +1 ecology if part of a shoal of at least 4. So that's the reason that we wanted to get at least 4 of them in the same tank. And actually, these guys have a good science earning potential as well as ecology. They have a slightly higher water quality requirement, which is something we've got to look after. Nope, these guys should be fine. Excuse me. So, if we now turn on our point totals, you'll see that these tanks are actually looking pretty good. Okay, they're worth almost as much ecology as these ones, but they're worth a hell of a lot more science. So, they're going to really start getting in fact, they're going to start earning us our first science points, and then we'll be able to unlock some more equipment. And I've said this before, generally, ecology is used for unlocking scenery and animals, so the stuff that goes in your tank, and equipment is there to help support. So it's going to help your aquarium run more efficiently. So the idea is that, you can push up as far as you like on the ecology stuff and unlock some really amazing fish, but you're probably going to struggle to keep them very well. You're going to have a billion filters attached to every single tank because you never unlocked that higher powered filter. Okay, so we've unlocked everything at this rank, so we're going to have to increase our prestige rank before we can discover new things to research. This happens quite regularly when I play, actually, so I think what I'm going to do is add another fish to the first rank. It's just quite difficult to rank up before that point, and I don't want players to kind of feel disappointed. So let's, we've still got a bit of money. We're actually running a little bit low. I have maybe over committed to these. Should we go? I think we'll go power filter, because I think quite soon we'll need some better power filters. Sorry about that. The game actually crashed amazingly, so I'm going to have a little look at that error later. But wow, that happens so rarely. I'm actually flabbergasted that it actually did a hard crash. I'm not sure what that was. I'm going to have to look out for that. Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but I think I probably won't make this vlog too much longer, because the longer I make it, the higher risk of it crashing again, and that's just going to be really annoying for you guys if I have to keep jumping back in. Anyway, apologies about that. So what I was just doing when it crashed was I was going to actually sell these Azure Demoiselles, and we're going to replace them with these Orchid Dotty bags. They're very similar, these two. The difference is these ones eat red pellets instead of orange pellets. And they have a single science point rather than 4 ecologies. The main reason I'm doing this, though, is just to have a bit more variety in my aquarium. Now, I do definitely have to add, an extra food dispenser now. Possibly I might have to look at hiring my first staff. Now, one of the other things I want to do with the rank, what I want to do with the rank is actually tie that to the staff leveling as well, so that you get to hire more staff. The higher rank your aquarium is, increases your staff limit, therefore kind of the scope of your aquarium. But I would also like it if it actually unlocked new types of staff and or new ranks of staff. But more about that another time. I have some very exciting ideas in the whole staff area. So next we're going to get this power filter. And one thing I think I haven't stressed quite enough is, and then I think I'll probably wrap this up, although it would be lovely to get to the next rank. One thing I haven't stressed quite enough is how this stuff works. Okay, so the way the care requirements work. Oh, you might have noticed, by the way, I've got rid of the day summary. Yeah, it's the kind of last bastion of what was actually the whole kind of day cycle of the game. Oh, there we go, we did rank up. Okay, I have a lot to talk about, and then we'll wrap up this vlog, okay? So, first, the day summary. I loved this idea of the day summary at first. I love this idea of you do a load of stuff during the day, and then you get this summary at the end, and you kind of go, you know, this is what I achieved. But the more and more I play the game, the more annoying it gets, basically. It's just fiddly, and often you're in the middle of building something when it pops up. And, you know, what I'm going to have instead is when the day summary comes up, if you've got any events, any messages, they'll pop up and they'll go and they'll sit in a little inbox somewhere with a little number on it flashing. And then you can go pick up those messages anytime you like. And I think that'll be a lot less intrusive into your workflow. The other thing I wanted to talk about, we'll deal with this in a minute, is so the care requirements. Okay, I talked to you about the UI thing, the whole fact that I want everything to be just like a little icon on our animals, on our equipment, on everything. But what I haven't really talked to you about is how the care requirements actually act. Now before, the way it worked, that if you didn't fulfill a requirement, it would have a chance of creating a negative event at the end of the day. You guys will remember that you'd have, you know, this animal wasn't fed, or this animal is being bullied, and you'd get a little negative to the animal's health. Now, the problem with that is it was too slow, and it was too easy to not really care for your animals, and you didn't really get punished for it. So the change I've made is that all the care requirements are now instantaneous. So this works in two directions, by the way. One, you get punished instantly if you're not fulfilling them, but two, you also get rewarded instantly if you are. So what we have here is, if you keep this guy in a shoal, you get 1 extra ecology point, and if you don't keep him in the shoal, that disappears straight away. So it'd be great if I could find an example of a negative. I don't think we have any here at the moment, but for example, if you don't feed one of your animals the next day until they get fed, they will have a negative modifier to their point value. And if you don't keep them heated sufficiently, then you'll get a negative modifier. And this gets applied instantaneously. So, you know, given that you've got guests walking around all the time and they're always going to be viewing your tanks, you're going to be getting a negative impact into your income as soon as these things go wrong. And you can imagine, I think later, once you've got quite a big aquarium, a bit of equipment breaks down. You know, for example, if your heater breaks down, it gets minus 50% effective rate, and that will immediately hit into your point values, basically, quite significantly. I mean, this one will lose 3 of each, which is quite significant. If this one would only go from a 5-3 down to a 2 ecology point, which is a huge cut. So you're going to want to get that fixed really quickly. The other effect that it has is actually, this is a little spoiler, but currently the earning of prestige points is actually tied to your point values. So you actually won't earn them as quickly if you have upset animals, basically, if they've got low point values. And I'd actually like to improve that even more. I'd like to, if you actually earn negative values, if your animals are looking a bit sick, you know, so the guest thinks, it goes like, you know, oh, that Azure Demoiselle looks a bit unhappy, looks a bit underfed or something, you know, looks a bit sick, and then you get a negative modifier there. So yeah, it's a big change, but you know what, it feels really satisfying, and I quite like this flow, and you're going to see it a lot more in the next couple of vlogs, because I'm going to keep doing some more playtesting and do some more vlogs. But as we unlock some more animals which have deeper requirements, you'll see it's quite satisfying just fulfilling those requirements and immediately seeing the little boosts that you're getting, and it really does make all the difference. You can already see that, you know, these two are worth, you know, quite a lot more than this. I mean, look, these are both full, okay? These both have capacity 12. This one is earning 18.5, this one's earning 23.12. I mean, it's a huge difference, and that's mostly, I'd say, because this guy has the shoulder, right? So you're getting an extra 4 points from the ecology. So, well, it'd still be worth more anyway, but anyway. Final thing we're going to do, we're going to rank up, and then I'm going to end the vlog. Did I talk about everything I wanted to talk about? Yeah, I think pretty much. Here we go. Okay, there's a little sound effect, but it is temporary. And this animation is also, I think, probably work in progress, and I'm going to... We'll see. I mean, I'm not saying it's awful, but I could spend longer on it. Here we go. Oh yeah, there's the rank up. Okay, so immediately we unlock a bench, because as we build bigger, we are going to start needing access to the bench to stop our sleepy guests leaving. And we also now have all of these things available for research. A couple of them are added to the science research list, and all of these are going to be added to the ecology research list. So if you click let's go, straight away our ecology is going to jump up, and we're going to choose our next thing. And I think we're going to go for this yellow tang. Look at those meaty point values. It likes plants. We've already got some plants. That's pretty good. We can boost it even more. We're going to have to watch out. It is a bully, which will pester wimps. And it also might damage stony coral, so we're going to have to worry about that later. And you can start to see how the compatibility map gets quite interesting as all of these different interlocking compatibilities start working together. Here is a king demoiselle. He's worth a little bit more than a azure demoiselle. He's got the exact same requirements otherwise, but he's worth 1 extra point. But he's a wimp. So if there is a bully in a tank, he gets -3. So you don't want to put these two together. And as you go forward, you're going to discover more bullies, more wimps, more other things that interact with each other. Some that dislike members of their own family and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, more of that to come. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And I hope you join me for the next one. Bye-bye.